Shalom. Peace, brothers and sisters. Just want to take a moment and go over some things here on my mind. People have a lot of questions and concerns about commerce, basically, at the end of the day, and more so, why is it important to understand how to operate in commerce? And we're all students of the Most High, of the Creator. So let's just share this information together, or share it collectively, spread it. Basically, commerce. You have to look at the word commerce itself. It actually means trade or trafficking. Okay, so trade or trafficking, commerce, trade, trafficking. Well, how do you know what that means? You look at what trade and trafficking means, or at least what they say. Remember, you got to find the right path, so to speak. But anyway, trafficking means trade or commerce. Yes. So commerce means trade or trafficking. And then trafficking means trade or commerce. So the similarity between the two is the word trade itself. So with that, trade actually means path, track, course of action. So why is that important? So since trade is the real meaning of both trafficking and commerce, and trade originally means path, track, course of action, then when you explore the word path itself, you'll find that path means footprint or mark left by anything as one meaning. However, there's an alternative usage for it as a suffix, and we'll review that momentarily. Now, the other meanings for path are to track. And track actually means originally footprint or a mark left by anything. And then the last meaning of trade is course of action, which is like onward movement. Could be a good plan, or so to speak, But returning back to the suffix usage of the word path, it actually, when combined, or a combining form associated, and this is straight from the etymology dictionary if you like to research this yourself, a combining form associated with, a combining form associated with pathy, P-A-T-H-Y. So there's two versions of the use. All right. One is one suffering from the disorder named as in psychopath. Two, a practitioner of the medical system named as in osteopath. See, in nature, it either is or it isn't. In most cases, there is no in between. It either. Anyway, look. So what I'm saying is this. It's very interesting because if they're here under commerce, and what I mean by that is the U.S. corporation, so to speak, was only allowed in the contractual agreement. Again, why it's so important to understand contracts. They were only allowed to be here on this land, operating under commerce. They were to conduct. That was their whole agreement, to be here. That's why everything you see falls back to some sort of commercialism, commercial presentments, your birth certificate, the registration of it being a commercial, the registering for it via the record of live birth being a commercial process. The purchasing of everything, financing, they're all under commerce. This is why crime has been manipulated, so to speak, to be included as commercial acts. Okay, so the only way they could expand interest here, so to speak, expand interest here was to create more commercial opportunities. Fragmentation of a money stream creates multiple money streams. All right, so let's continue. All right, so we reviewed the word commerce, trade, trafficking. We reviewed that trafficking means trade and commerce. We covered the fact that trade is the real definition of both trafficking and commerce. And we covered the fact that footprint, or a mark left by anything, this is in review, is a track. Okay? i.e. a UPC code, i.e. a social security number, etc. Okay? A course of action is a plan. We already know what that is. Or it could be a lot of other things. So it's onward movement. All right, focus. And then you have path. Now, we reviewed the definition: one suffering from the disorder named as a psychopath, or a practitioner of the medical system named as an osteopath. Why is that important, brother, sister? It's important because the government is here to provide services to the people. So that's why every service you get a bill. It's commerce. So the more services they can create, the better. Considering that healthcare issues was 17% of the gross national deposit, the GDP, gross national product, okay, which is a large chunk. The only way to really stimulate the economy right now, based on the conditions economically that we're facing, is to have more sick people. It's the easiest way. Or at least that's what it's primed for. Alright, so protection, when you look up government, it basically stems to protect or guide pre-1300. Okay? So, loosely translated, they're protecting food, water, and shelter. Now, food stems from the word fodder, which meant udder, milk, basically, or milk of a cow, or milk gland of a cow or a goat. It also means feed, which is to nourish. Okay, water originally meant to wet, like you're watering plants, and shelter was something that covers or protects, kind of like insurance. Sounds familiar? All right. Now, I found it ironic that when you explore into food, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in food. The industry itself, which every industry basically is ran by either a government corporation or a government agency. This is where they get the protocols. So, when exploring food, especially the explosion of processed food and the use of it, and the locations where it's most heaviest, where its heaviest concentration of delivery is, you can see how efficient of a weapon it can become. So, I recently, and it started because I recently uncovered something I knew all along. Don't eat, not supposed to eat sugar, you're not supposed to eat salt. But when exploring it a little more, you learn that sugar, salt, flour, they're literally classified as drugs because they're been extracted and concentrated And anything that's been extracted or concentrated is, by classification, a drug. So that opens your eyes to the fact that the food that we've been buying and eating, or a lot of people have been buying and eating, I know some of you out there are already onto this, it's not food at all, it's drugs. So, with the administering of drugs, which are chemicals, basically, that either directly affect the body or indirectly affect the body due to addiction of the chemical produced within the body, by the body, as a reaction to adding the chemical drug, i.e. thought as food, to the system to begin with. Now, with certain chemical alterations, you make a culture or a group of people more docile and easy to control and manipulate. This is a whole study on marketing and stuff. So that's why it's very important to understand commerce, because they're providing a service to the people in all aspects of life. You have to know how to operate in commerce. But as far as the tactics used, we suffer as a whole due to a lack of militaristic views. And I say that because at the top of every corporation, there's a board of directors that most of them are ex-military or current military personnel. So they're approaching everything as a military or militarily. So the only way to understand what to look for or where to look or what the real issue at hand is to have some concept of military thought processes. Otherwise, you're vulnerable to influence, which equates manipulation. Shalom.